So what I've done here with Arena is we have established a sectioning pattern, and for the people who know me, you know that I really thrive on sectioning patterns because it helps me to actually make a planning, and everything that I'm be able to visualize as an inspiration is going to help me to materialize it. So the sectioning pattern that we have here, I'm just going to invite Maya, my lovely social media assistant, a little bit closer, so you can all have a really good look of how we establish that right on the curve of the head shape. And then we're traveling slightly diagonal down. We take a horizontal line just above the occipital bone, and that just kind of isolating out the area above the curvature and below the curvature. Initially, we're going to start establishing technique because that's going to help me to make the right choice to establish my length in the first place. But also, it's going to help me to manipulate the shape and even promote the texture. And it's all these elements that I want to combine together in one haircut and actually accomplished by the whole technique. So once I finish cutting Arena's hair, it's actually done. And we can work with the most natural finish on it. We don't really have to go back through the hair. It just needs to fall into place by working through that whole procedure. Okay, so we just isolated a section radial kind of to the top of the ear. I'm just going to damp the hair down a little bit. Oh, sorry, Arena, I didn't want to wake you up there. This is actually 1/4 of Staying Alive mixed with 3/4 of water. Okay, and for me that's the perfect mix to use quite a lot throughout the haircut, because I like to work on hair that's really hydrated, because it helps me to keep the sections clean and to actually mold and put the hair into the right place. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just gonna start working horizontally. See, I've got a little section here pre-sectioned off. What's really important is the way of how I'm going to be manipulating the hair. See, there is hardly any tension on there. And we're going to work really gently with the point cutting. Arena likes to have a short haircut for people who don't like short hair. It's like a no haircut, and it's like a long short kind of haircut. So it's really important that we work on the right detail and the right proportion to be able to live up to the expectations for Arena, because we don't know each other, and I really value and respect the trust that she puts towards me, and giving up her time to be here. So I just want to give Arena the best haircut I can possibly can, and just want to make sure that it's the haircut that lives up to the expectations when it comes to the look and feel, but also the haircut that makes life very easy for her, and she doesn't really have to style it. I think for me also the expiry date is really important to give the haircut that longevity. I want haircuts to last. I don't feel like the customers need to come back to the salon very fast. You just have to make sure you build up enough customers. So, and as I'm working now, I'm keeping working horizontally, because that's going to help me to control the weight. Arena's hair easily goes a little bit fluffy, and I just want to try to avoid that by just making sure that we're keeping a little bit of weight in there, and by working horizontally, that's going to help us. Okay, working with the scissors, very deep, very parallel. So it's going to create texture, but without making the hair too wispy. See, it's really nice how that texture develops. This is going to be my guideline. So now I'm just subdividing a little piece. Okay, just stand the hair down a little bit. And this is the part now we're going to start taking some length away, because this is where the hair is too heavy, whereas we're going to keep length through the top. So we're going to change the proportion completely. And when I say editorial, when I want to approach it in an editorial way, I want to have like a real undone kind of raw feeling. I want to have that feeling like you see in the subculture fashion magazine. And this is what we're aiming for here. Okay, so I can see my guideline very clearly there. And this is how we want to work our way down the head shape, a little bit shorter following the head shape, but making sure we still have a lot of room for that very loose texture. We want the haircut to be very, very feminine, like very grown out, very lived in. That's really what we're looking for. And this is how we will reflect the technique from start to finish. Okay, I'm just going to turn Arina's chair a little bit to that side. And hopefully that's going to be better to see. Okay, so taking the next section, diagonal back, horizontal to the first one. Making sure we can see the guideline from start to finish. This is the indication that we follow the shape that we established. I think since ever I joined Kevin Murphy, I became a better hairdresser because my taste got so strongly influenced by the global team of how they work with styling and how they actually push a shape into place with styling, which for me was the perfect inspiration of how to translate that into a haircut. I think what we have at Kevin Murphy is unique when it comes to that, because we're not really praising too much of what we're doing, we're just letting the world see of how we feel about things and how our taste is so strongly influenced by what we do. Okay, so working my way up to the top of the section. There is hardly any tension on the hair, and that's going to help me to create that looseness in the shape. Even though I'm point cutting very, very strongly, I can see my guideline. It's pretty weak, but it's strong enough to be able to use it and follow it. Thank you, Maya. I feel like you're doing a great job. I feel like I'm being on a great stage, actually. And I've got this camera just like right over my shoulder, trying to capture the detail. Just making sure we capture that last bit there. We have all the connection there. There we go. And then we're going to go all the way through the back. I love the way that texture is developing. Look how delicate it is, how fragile. But still, we're establishing a great shape in here. So it's a nice feeling when you see those things coming along as you're actually working through the technique. Here we're making sure that we follow the head shape all the way down. We don't use any over direction. We don't want to build up too much weight to that part. We just want it to kind of gently tailor it throughout the nape. Making sure we have a very gentle graduation almost. But without any 45 degrees, it's just work to taste and suitability. And I think when it comes to taste and suitability, it's one of the most important things. Once you got your technique and you master your technique, it's finding your way of how you can use that technique to your personal benefit when it comes to how you see hair, how you want to profile yourself as a hair cutter, in this case. And finding that balance between all the elements, that's so ever so important. I remember the first years of my career, I was so focused on just the technical assets that sometimes I would tend to forget about the aesthetics of it. And you know my slogan, perfection kills. So it's about letting go sometimes. It's about looking for a certain discipline in order to establish something, but also about letting go. And letting go here means, for example, even the tension on the hair is letting go. There is no need, when you work on hair organically, and it's like thousands of fibers, thousands of strands of hair, to actually squeeze that into your fingers, which are not kind of equal anyway. So it's about, using the comb to give that direction and then just gripping it on the right spot very gently. And it's still very, very clean, but you're actually not squeezing the hair, which is entirely unnecessary. Now I'm just going to cross-check. Okay, super happy with that build-up, super happy with the length. Alright, so now we're going to move on towards the other side. Do it like this. Again, dampen the hair down. The reason why I cut hair, and I love cutting hair so much, is it's about having the control over like thousands of dead fibers, because this is what hair is, and to be able to control that and put it into the longevity of a shape is something that right from the start of my career I was very intrigued by, and it never left me. Okay, so now we're working again horizontally. Loose tension, deep point cutting. And working our way with the same square elevation towards the top of the section. The hair on this side is a little bit thinner, a little bit more delicate, so we cut calculating that in. Just keeping control over the elevation. It's going to ensure the consistency of the haircut. Okay, calming that down. Oh, look how beautiful it drops. Super happy with that. Checking my balance. Just a tiny fraction more at the top here. Okay, seeing my guideline and just chopping that very gently. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to take my guideline, combing it out of the way, and then working from that guide straight into the back. Okay, see how delicate we work with the texture. That's going to really come to our advantage for the end result. Arena is not looking for something rigid. It's looking for the right proportion, the right shape, the right texture. We're all going to accomplish that just by using this technique. I love that kind of raw feeling of the haircuts that you see these days in the editorial magazines. This is for me the biggest inspiration. It's actually achieved by people that put hair into place rather than cutting hair. And it's a real challenge for me personally to get that same feel, that same look and feel into hair that's actually cut in this specific way. Okay, so here you can already see we're going to start blending it with the other side. This is a great feeling of indication of how the balance already starts to come together. Going all the way to the top here. This is where the hair is going shorter. This is where Arena is going to benefit from that, making sure the shape takes place into the right proportion. Proportion is everything, and starting from a great inspiration is crucial. In my case, I need to be able to see hair to be able to do hair. I mean, I love photography, I love architecture, I love all these forms of art that are visual, but I need to see hair to do hair. And preferably, I need to see hair which is considered bad hair, which is considered, you know, a little bit off, not right. Because that triggers me to take that idea and put it in the right place. Make sure we can make it work. Give it a commercial value. I work in the salon. I feel that working in the salon behind the chair makes me a better educator, because I understand my crowd. I understand their needs of what they want in the salon. And I want to provide them with these needs. I want to provide them with simplicity, with minimalism, but then done in a very accurate method. I also like a little bit of awkwardness in my work, you know. I like certain features that are a little bit off, and just kind of turn them around and make them look pleasing to the eye. I love that kind of stuff. It's something that I became obsessed with over the years. And I think if you want to be really good in what you do, you almost have to develop like an obsession for what you do. It's one of these things that if you're really into something, then you can really make it your thing and take it next level. And for the people, all of you that know me, you know that cutting hair is what I do. There is nothing else. I don't have any hobbies. I like photography, but I don't really have time to work on that. I just photograph my own haircut sometimes in very specific ways.
Hi, Pascal.
Yes?
How are you?
I'm really good.
It's looking good.
I'm really enjoying this pass.
I can tell. You're looking great.
Thank you.
Makeup's looking great too. I have a question for you if you're ready for.
Sure.
From Andre Lay. So he's got, Pascal, he's noticed that you've come back. Sorry. That as you've come back up to the slight shift of your hands either forward or backward. Is that to diffuse the line a little bit more?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that pass.
Sorry. So he's asking that he noticed as you come, as you come back up, you do a slight shift of your hand either forward or backward. Is that to diffuse the line a little bit more?
Yeah, I have this. It's a very good question, and I pretended I didn't get it, but I got it the first time. I'm sorry about that. No, I have these funny ways of tweaking hair into slightly bending it into different directions, but it's actually just kind of pulling the hair from the scalp in its most natural direction. And sometimes it just looks a little bit weird, sometimes it even looks a little confusing. But it's like I don't actually pull the hair straight up from the head shape. I actually kind of make it go its way of how it feels natural. And yeah, this is one of the things that I think it puts the hair into its most natural form. I hope that's the right answer to the question.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm double checking my little undercut here because it's time to move on to the top. Alright, so once we're happy with the underneath, I might just take just a tiny bit of that whisk here. Okay, so now we're gonna start working internally. In Kevin Murphy terms, we call that the motion area. And one of the key features, which is like a link in almost all of the haircuts is squareness. You know, I love squareness. Squareness is what makes a haircut happen, particularly on short hair. And it's considered to make it modern, but I think it has like a timeless longevity. And I think what will be happening after COVID, like post-COVID, is that people are going to go to, in one way, they're going to go to like timeless quality. They want to spend money on things that are long-lasting. But on the other hand, I think it's going to be interrupted with really strong details that make them stand out from the crowd. That's why we have these collisions now. We have collisions between shags and mullets, and then suddenly the wolf cut appears, and it's all these things from the past which have like stand the test of time that are now starting to collide, and these great haircuts start to appear. And I think what we have here, I mean, for sure there's a pixie in there, for sure there's a little bit like a bob, a tiny little 20s, you know, bob feeling in there. So it's all these things brought together at the right timing, with the right reason, that's gonna make it happen. And you know, it's gonna make it really personal, and it's gonna really individualize people and give them the ability to express themselves. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing here is starting from the center. And this is where I don't want the hair to go too short. This is the part, if I cut it too short, then we would create too much volume. And I'm just going to take the hair away at the right spot. So here at the top, it stays. And exactly that corner is what needs to be taken away to take the hair to the next dimension. Not more. I saw Arena coming in, and I saw exactly where I need to cut the hair and where I have to leave certain parts of the haircut. And the parts that we leave, for sure, are as important as the parts we take away. And it's being able to see that's gonna lead you to an amazing result. We don't have to keep cutting the hair everywhere, because otherwise we always end up with the same result. See, just pulling that vertically square, a little bit of over direction, and you create an amazing shape and a really nice flow into that shape. There we go. I'm just going to swing you around one more time, Arena. I hope you don't get motion sickness. Now we're going to work it from the other side, exactly the same. Changing the position of the fingers, going downwards, but still working on the inside of the fingers, because this is going to be really important to control the direction of the hair. Every time we just subdivide the previous section, take the same amount for our new section, and just slightly over direct it to the base of the previous one. less hair here. So let's, I mean the hair is a little bit shorter here, so let's not get distracted by that. And just do what we need to do to get that into the right proportion. Balance it out. So from the other side here, I'm just going to have to take a little bit more of that top corner to be able to create that balance. There we go. Okay. Just checking the outline of that top section. We have this connection, I think, about 1 inch, which is about 2.5 centimeters in European terms. Okay, and now I'm just going to go through the top section, taking the opportunity to check it, but at the same time also detail the hair. So we're detailing as we go along with the cut. Being very careful about that. We don't want to take the hair any shorter at this point. We just want to loosen it up a bit so it moves better. We want this hair to be very touchable, very movable. It needs to be very organic. This is the kind of haircut we're aiming for here. Okay. Great. So now moving on to the front section. We work from the center parting. Just going to get rid of that parting now. It was just easier to work my section that way. Okay, so towards the front, we want to maintain a little bit of the density. So we're going to use the back as our guideline, but we're going to start like we did with the sides. We're going to start working horizontally. And by working horizontally, it enables us to have more control of keeping a little bit of weight in there. Being very, very gentle about that. Every snip I do here on this kind of length will make a difference. Will make a bigger difference than you ever expect. So don't get scissor happy. Because it might work against you. Okay. Just gonna work my way through the top. I'm not sure at this part when the hair is still gonna reach, but we just want to make sure. See, we're working quite swiftly through this technique. It's about making the right decisions. I mean, we're getting paid to think as hair cutters. We don't get paid by the meter or by the centimeter. We just like, we get paid for establishing a great, suitable design. So it doesn't matter how much or how little it needs to make it look amazing, as long as the thought procedure fits the aesthetics of the result. Yeah.
Ian would like to know, where can you get your scissors from?
Well, I work both with the Kevin Murphy curved scissors, and the scissors I'm using at the moment are my own private label scissors, which due to COVID I've actually run out. I sold out and I haven't managed to actually reproduce them. But they are done by the same manufacturer as the Kevin Murphy curved scissors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I will reproduce them. But I'm a little bit behind with a lot of things and manufacturing and stuff like that because of being post-COVID.
So, would you say they're 7 inch?
Oh, sorry, no, 6.5. No, 6.6.6, the number of the beast.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Susan was asking that. Thank you.
I like, I think it's a good question because I like slightly longer blades purely for comfort. See the way these blades are nicely being guiding on my fingers. If you have a bigger blade, it makes the scissors more movable. It makes them more accessible. It's about finding a comfort of how you can work with the scissors, and it's not to show off or anything like that, but when I work like this, I can cut hair, look at the camera without I'm looking at my hair, and everything is going perfectly well. It's about being comfortable and finding a system of how to cut hair. And I think being comfortable in what you do gives you confidence. If you're confident, you do great haircuts. And you know, this is how it works. Okay, one more section left. We knew here that the hair was a little bit shorter at this side here, so I think at this point it's not really touching. We just got what we need. That's good. See, you notice how parallel I'm going with the blades into the hair. That is going to give me a highly textured feel without damaging the cuticle of Arena's very fragile and delicate hair. Okay, so all we got left now is that little cute fringe here. I think when you decide on doing a haircut, I think you need to tick the boxes first when it comes to face shape, hair type and lifestyle. Suitability in general regarding face shape, hairstyle and lifestyle. Once these three boxes are ticked, then we can go on a creative journey only if necessary. Because sometimes just making sure that these three boxes fit is enough creativity. So we try not to be creative just literally for the sake of it. We don't want the fringe to be too short, so I'm working very gentle here. I decided to work on wet hair because I want to, once I dry the hair, I want the haircut to be completed. So if you're not used to that, it's a little bit tricky. I have quite a lot of experience working on wet hair, also with fringes, so kind of trusting myself here in this case. But if you're not used to it, just be very careful with it, because we don't want to have any unexpected surprises regarding the fringe. You can do the most amazing haircut if the fringe is not really living up to the expectations. You might get yourself in trouble. Look at that. I love the way this is coming together. Okay, I just want to double check the top section now. Just more as a way of checking, making sure everything sits okay. More than cutting, because we want to retain that weight internally. See, this is perfect. I'm really happy with that length, the texture. Okay, done. So cute. I have a tendency to work with a lot of hydrating, moisturizing products and actually purposely overuse them. Get myself a little bit into trouble with the drying times, but get that amazing condensed, almost little sweaty kind of result. And this is exactly what I'm looking for when you see in that kind of underground subculture editorial magazine where the skin is a little bit shimmery, a little bit sweaty, you know, the hair kind of almost sticks a little bit onto that skin. This is what I love. This is what I find truly, truly cute, very, very sexy. It's you know, it gives it that real raw identity, which I'm always looking for in the haircuts that I like to provide. And I have to say that Kevin Murphy and the team have been a huge, major influence on me in the last 7-8 years to actually finally accomplish within my career, which I've been looking for 29 years basically. So, you know, I still feel like every day I'm getting more experience, I'm learning from what I'm doing, and I'm open to do the things that I love and get better from, surrounding myself with the right ingredients, which is the right music, the right crowd, the right magazines, the right sources of inspiration. Very important. Okay, I'm just going to very gently dry the hair, using not too much heat, just, very, very natural, very gently. And then we'll see if it needs a little bit of work on dry hair. I don't think so, but we'll see. See, the hair feels slightly over-processed with moisturizer. I love that kind of feeling. There's a very fine line for doing enough and just overdoing it, so I think I have reached that part. I just really like the way the texture has developed a little bit quirky.
Amazing, Pascal.
Thanks, Baz.
Even Ian from UK, we're using Madrid now, so he said, as always, looking amazing, Pascal. My wife has just told me she wants me to cut her hair.
Oh, I'll do that anytime. That's
Can I
that.
ask what hair dryer you use it?
Oh, this is I got this sent by the Rainbow company in Belgium. This is from a brand, Italian brand called Gamma. Gamma Professional, G-A-M-A. And I'm totally in love with it. And for me to be falling in love with a hairdryer as a hair cutter is quite a thing, right? So yeah, it's slides, it's you know, it works fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
I think I'm done, guys. I really don't want to. You know, you can wear it just forwards, but I like the way it has developed. And it just looks a little quirky. And I think we reached the point that I would just want to stand Arena up. I'm going to take the gown and I'm going to do just a little recap. So if you could stand up for me, Arena, that would be great. Thank you.